Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lisa Elvin Stoltari, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. Over the last year and a half, actually, I have been featuring each fille du roi or king's daughter and getting to know their stories a little bit better. There are over 700 of them. We are now on episode 171, so we have come a long way. Got a long way to go. But before we begin, let me show you ways you can support the channel. We have subscribe, like, and notify. These are ways that you will stay in the know. This is something new that has happened because I achieved a certain level with YouTube. Super thanks is something that's right on the border there, where you can simply show your support financially and help the channel grow in that way as well. I want to thank everyone who has contributed and has shown their support in so many ways. I thank you all, you from the bottom of my heart. So let's get started and get to know our fille du roi of this episode. This episode, number 170, is Constance Lepage, and she was not in my file. She is a viewer request, so I thank the viewer for recommending this particular fille du roi. It was interesting to get to know Constance, which I love the name, by the way. So Constance was born in 1651 in the commune of Notre-Dame-de-Ouane, and her parents were Etienne Lepage and Nicole Berthelot. And this particular area that she is born in, Notre-Dame-de-Ouane, is actually found in the region of Bourgogne-Franche-Comté in north-central France, as you can see by the bottom right. And the département is Yonne. And so you can kind of figure out, okay, where is she in relationship to Paris or, La Rochelle, that sort of thing. So it's really kind of inside. There's not really any oceans or anything like that. It really is in the middle of France. And it has existed at the time of the Gallo-Romans under the name of Udona. Her brothers Germain and Louis left for Canada before her. So that's an interesting twist. That she had some brothers. So the name Lepage is actually a very, very, very popular name. Constance is part of that family, as we will see. The Church of Notre-Dame-de-Ouane is featured there. So it was actually around the 14th century, that particular church. So, this is the area where it would be really farming land, So let's have a look at when she came across. After watching her brothers leave for New France, she obviously decided, Constance said, hey, I want to go too. She sailed on one of the last boats, if not the L'Espérance, which means the wish. November 3rd, 1673 is when it arrived. So that was really late in the season, as you can imagine, if you know anything about Quebec winters. So the groom that she selected and who selected her, François Gagne, and he was born in 1640 in a commune called Saint-Vivien in France. His parents were Pierre Guérin and Marguerite Herny. And he is from the Nouvelle-Aquitaine region, as you can see on the upper left. And he is part of the Charente-Maritime region. As of 2020, there were 1,300 people that still live there. We have the Church of Saint-Vivien there located as well, and just kind of a view, if you will, a vision of Saint-Vivien if you were to visit today, what it looks like. So he came as an engagé, and he, in 1666 and 1667, was working off that contract, if you will, and was in the household of Julien Fortin in 1667 and in the household of Jean Cloutier in 1666. So those names you will obviously know about. These are names. Remember, we're going to explore Thea Marie, and some of these will come up again. So it's kind of interesting how the people kind of connect up. So, for example, you could have one of your great-grandparents be Julien Fortin, and then another of your grandparents, François Gagne, be one of working in his house. So that I just find that fascinating. So Constance and Francois were married on February 5th, 1674. Remember, she arrived in November. By February, she's married. So one has to believe that maybe her brothers had a part, introduced them, that sort of thing. That's what I believe. Because that was, in the dead of winter to be able to find someone to marry. So that's a representation of the little church at Saint Famille, Ile d'Orléans. So the family would settle on Ile d'Orléans, which is located, those of you who have been regular viewers know how often we come back to the island. It's located on the St. Lawrence River, east of downtown Quebec, about 3 miles. The island was one of the first parts of the province to be colonized by the French, and a large percentage of French Canadians can trace their ancestry to the early residents of this island. And it has been described as a microcosm of traditional Quebec and as the birthplace of Francophones in North America. Now, it wasn't always known as Ile d'Orléans. It was actually known at different times as Grande-Île, Sainte-Marie, Saint-Laurent, and then ultimately it was changed in honor of the second son of King Francis, whose name was Henri, but he was the Duke of Orleans, so Ile d'Orléans. And obviously you can see by the greenness of the bottom picture, the early French settlers were really attracted to how fertile the land was, how close to the water. And this picture here is just an old style cheese making spot that a friend of mine sent me the picture. So it just really gives you an idea of how picturesque this place, somewhere in time kind of place, where time has really stood still. I also want to point out the fact that the island is subdivided into 6 different sections. So depending on where your family is from, you need to make sure that you know where, is it Saint-Famille or is it Saint-François? Is it Saint-Jean, Saint-Laurent, Saint-Pierre, or Saint-Pétronille? All of these are, very important in terms of your research. And Saint-Famille, for example, was the first parish founded in 1661. The other parishes came along in the 1670s and 80s. So obviously, depending on when your family came over, that's how you would kind of start your research. Constance would go on to have 6 children. Marie-Madeleine would marry Pierre Gosselin and have 4 children, all of whom made it. Constance would marry Pierre Saint-Laurent and have 10 children, 6 of whom would make it. Marguerite would pass away in infancy. Pierre would pass away at 18. Geneviève would die in infancy. And Reine would marry Pierre l'Abbé and have 4 children, all of whom made it to adulthood. Constance would die a tragic early death in August of 1688 and was buried on the 18th of August. She was but 37 years old. They would have only been married 14 years, but by 1729, 30 descendants, of which my viewer is one. So it's just a remarkable, remarkable achievement. So Francois would remarry in 1690 to a fellow fille du roi, Marie-Agnès Destouches. He would himself die at a very, very respectable 75 years of age in 1715. Now, normally I don't. I usually take the family association from the man, but in my research I found the Lepage family Amérique, which is a phenomenal website. Got to check it out if this is your descendancy. And they have, as I was reading, there is in this July, I think it's July, an actual family meeting in Drummondville, my own hometown, and I might be there. So even though it's just remarkable that they had, and that's because of her brothers, but she is also mentioned in there. So you want to have a check that out because are your uncles if this is your descendancy. And as always, I like to talk about my favorite resources, La Société des Filles du Roi, of which I am a member and the membership chair. Just a remarkable organization for being able to do research. And also, if you're so inclined, you can become a full member and get a certificate by proving your lineage, or just become an associate member where you don't have to prove your lineage and you can have access to the website. So Those are two channels. We have the Quebec Genealogical E-Society, fabulous, newer kid on the block, but very, very good in terms of resources and working with others. Généalogie d'Amérique et d'Amérique française, Généalogie Québec, Migration, and of course the Facebook site, Filles du Roi Descendants, to be able to work with, other people of like mind and find cousins, of course. I've listed all the addresses for you to explore. So ends episode 170. Constance Lepage did not live a long life, and her amount of descendants are only 30 as of 1729. But my viewer laid claim to her. So we know that there are others out there. Please let me know if this is one of your great grandmothers, because her sacrifice of her life ultimately for coming to New France and for bearing the children she did and being able to make a life and certainly begin the begin the chain and the line of any of her descendants, I think is a remarkable achievement. And we want to bless her memory, thank her for her sacrifice, and know that we are grateful that she came to our shores for however brief a time. Until I see you on episode 171, au revoir.